Goat Dairy. That means all the goats have the babies in the spring. We milk for the summer. And then they're dried up, get bred, and they're pregnant in the winter. We have milk from April to November. And right now, all the does are having babies, and we're just starting to milk. Joycey? Come on, girl. So you're new, so they're gonna look at you like, who are you? We're gonna milk them and then go feed the babies. The babies are not on mom because we need to take care and manage the babies and the udder in the milk. And this way it's much less stressful. Mom isn't crying for baby, baby isn't crying for mom. It's not stressful, they think I'm mom. So even when they're this big, I'm still mom. This is gonna be loud. Preparing these does to milk, and we want to keep her healthy and clean, and we want the milk healthy and clean. So there's certain protocols we do to make sure that happens. So these girls will be milked twice a day through November, and they'll come in and they'll get the grain here on the milk stand, and then they'll go out to pasture for the day. And I'm a firm believer in using my pastures. These animals are browsers, they're not grazers. And this land is real suitable for that. It's dry land, and there's a lot of shrubbery stuff they like to eat. What they eat can dictate how that cheese tastes, because it can affect how the milk tastes. So I want to be careful of what they eat, but I want them to eat as natural as possible. Goats are ruminants, and a ruminant is an animal that has several chambers or stomachs, and they send their food to the first stomach and bring it back up and chew their cud, and that's where that term comes from, chewing their cud. To get the most benefits out of it, then they digest it. Ruminant is a hooved animal, and camels, sheep, cows are all examples of ruminants, like goats. So we want to keep them as naturally fed as possible, so we don't mess up with their You never want to over-milk an animal because we don't want to injure this udder or the teat. So you watch it, and as she's being milked, her udder will go down. Also by feel, you get to know these udders real well throughout the year. They're new moms, so their body's going to change just like any other species. And you get to learn it and pay attention to it, because you don't want to hurt this udder and you don't want to hurt them. So it's very important to observe and to pay attention to how she feels, the temperature, how she's eating. She will gradually produce more and more milk until about midsummer, and then she will start producing less milk. And if you think about it, in the wild, if she were having a baby now out in the wild, that baby can't eat a whole lot. So that milk has to be have a lot of protein in it so that baby can grow. As that baby grows and starts nibbling on other foods, he's growing, he's going to eat more milk. Her protein she weans that baby in the wild, he's got to be on his own. So she gets him fattened up by giving him a really high fat milk. And she weans that baby so she can be bred. And so too, the milk changes throughout lactation. Lactation is when the animal is milking. And right now their milk will be really high in protein and low in fat. And as the season progresses, those two will reverse. And if you think about it, that's how they take care of their babies in the wild. So I'm not going to mess with that. I see it in the cheese, and I can adjust my processing a bit so it's consistent. But the cheese changes. It's a very low processed cheese, and the cheese will change throughout the year. In the fall, it gets really nice and creamy, and that's because there's a higher fat content in it. It's a low fat product anyway, but you will notice that difference in the cheese for sure. It all starts with that ground out there. I need good, healthy dirt. I've always said it, to get good food. I need good food for healthy goats, and I need healthy goats for healthy milk, because I can't make good cheese out of bad milk. So it all starts out there. Some of the pasture's been improved, and I'm working within our CS, which is our conservation district, to improve it more, because the more beneficial stuff I can plant out there for them to browse on, the better. Number one, feed is very expensive. I don't make my own feed, so I have to buy it, and it's very expensive. And the more natural browsing they can do, the better it is for them, and the healthier they'll be, and the more efficient it is. And they want to go out and browse, so that's what we want them to do. So we rotate the pastures, and to get more use out of it. We've had a really nice spring this year. We've been able to get out on pasture early. We've had enough rain. This is very sandy ground. This is not ground conducive to growing alfalfas or cash crops. So it's a good fit for these goats because they can, they're not hard on this ground, and they can live on what will grow here. But I am excited to move forward and plant some different things that will help them. And one interesting plant I'm looking into is turnips. There's actually a lot of good benefits on turnips, and it's good for the soil and good for them. So in the fall, I can extend my pasture, my grazing season by planting turnips. And I'm looking forward to playing with some things like that. People think goats will eat everything. They're very picky, actually. They're very picky. And they will taste test, but they will eat shrubby, dry things that grazing animals won't eat, but they won't eat everything. And example is their hay. Their hay is fed in mangers, but if it falls on the ground, forget it. They won't touch it. Oh. They'll sit there and look at you like, give me some good stuff. If I'm going to expect them to milk for me, you know, and stay in my fence and behave, then it's my obligation to make sure they're healthy and happy. That's how I look at it. Yeah. I've always looked at it that way because we can really abuse these animals. I don't care if they're pets, I don't care if they're a meat animal or a dairy animal. We can really play havoc with them. Sunflower seeds and oat and corn and a protein pellet. I have 3 licenses here. This is the dairy, and then over there is the plant, and then a food license. So they all, actually, and then there's the lab. And they're all here to make sure we're making a clean, safe food product for customers. 20? Come on, Martha. Myra? Here we go. This is chlorinated water to sanitize these, so I don't spread cooties from one animal to the other. So cooties are the big thing. There's good cooties and bad cooties. And we don't want any bad cooties. We want to keep that udder healthy, so you want to be clean. So, and this is just soapy water from the washing machine. Thank you. So, those babies actually in the wild have a process of getting mom to drop her milk when they're hungry. Goats are known to headbutt. Well, animals who nurse up their moms will butt that udder, and that actually releases the hormone to let that milk drop. So when we're milking them like this, we go through a routine every time that lets them know, okay, it's time to milk, we can drop our milk. I turn on the machine, that noise is one thing. I strip them, and then I clean them, and by then, that's giving them time, that hormone to release to let them know it's okay to drop your milk. Otherwise, they would be leaking milk all the time all over. So, it's real important to be consistent and to give them time, and we don't force anything in the milking process. Goat milk is the most digestible milk out of any mammal. So, 20, 30 years ago, the family doctor would tell the mom with a colicky baby, go buy a goat. Now we have Infamils and soy milks and canned formulas. It's not, you don't go to the family doctor anymore and he doesn't say go buy a goat and drink goat milk. That's why people who are lactose intolerant or have digestive problems or maybe stomach surgery or allergies can do goat milk. It's most like our milk. The pH is similar, but the proteins and fats and caseins are very small, like our own milk. We're also the only country that uses more cow products than goat products. A lot of countries drink more goat milk and eat more goat meat than the United States. So they're used for a lot. They're used for meat and for dairy in a lot of places around the world. The United States is the least, the country that uses the least amount of goat products.
It's so weird.
We can make cheap milk, we can make cheap corn, I know. But that's why we're in a lot of the situations we're in right now. That's why we're not healthy. That's why, the process aspect of all this stuff. And that's one thing I like about this cheese, is it's so minimally processed. That milk you buy in the store is it says right on it, ultra pasteurized. You're not going, it's so pasteurized, and there's always a big debate between pasteurized and raw. And there's pros and cons both ways. But this, I pasteurize low temperature, so you're gonna get the flavor of what they're eating in that cheese. So I could make that cheese taste really bad in a couple of days if I fed them wild garlic, or if they found some onion out there, or if they ate, a certain feed for a couple days straight. You could affect the taste of that cheese immediately. It's going to come through because it's not ultra pasteurized.